Good morning. How to make the invisible real. How do we really believe God for things that we don't see, we don't feel, we don't know how in the world He's going to do it? Well, Abraham didn't know how he was going to have a child. He didn't know how to become the father of a great nation, but he did. Well, the Bible tells us how he did. He tells us that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now, what is it in life that you are hoping for? What is it you're praying for? What is it that your dream that God knows and nobody else that's out there? It's your heart. And you've given that to God. And you really feel it's God's will and you're praying for it, but you don't see the evidence in your life. What does he tell us in verse 6? He says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. He said, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Two things. I have to believe the reality of God, and I have to believe he keeps his promises. I have to believe that God really delivers. God really does pay what he's promised to pay. He has no IOUs in the universe. Let me read about Moses. By faith, Moses, when he became of age, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the passing pleasures of sin, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he looked for a reward. He knew there was something better coming that would offset the sacrifice he was presently making. You know, if you're not willing to make a sacrifice now for something better later, you're going to have a hard time with Christianity, because it's built on following Christ. And our discipleship of him and following him and becoming like him requires sacrifice. It requires suffering. It requires servanthood, that we serve, that we suffer, that we sacrifice so many times what it is we think we want for what we really need and what God knows is the desires of our hearts. Now, what did he do? He saw from the distance something invisible, a reward that he couldn't see. Moses did. He also gave up temporal pleasure right now because he knew he couldn't have both. Thirdly, he calculated the prize outweighed the sacrifice. Fourthly, in spite of the unmoving contradictions in life, 40 years in the desert, he still kept marching on. Now, that's going to happen to you. All those principles still work. You've got to give them up. I say this and I ask God to protect him. My son is 32 years old and he's a virgin. And he said, God, I'm not going to give up that part of my life because I want it with the woman that God's chosen for me. Now, I cannot tell you how many girlfriends he's had. They come to him and they say, okay, why won't you sleep with me? Why won't you do this? And why won't you do that? He said, you don't get it. I've waited this long. I'm not going to give it up now. You don't love me. It's not a matter of loving you. It's a matter of loving God. And it's a matter of truly loving myself. I'm not going to sacrifice what I've sacrificed so much to have in order to have temporal pleasure now because it pleases you. Now, you've got to make a decision in life. Are you going to please God? Or are you going to please the person that's screaming at you? And when you please God, and it's based upon a sacrifice now for something better later, he always delivers. God bless you. Have a great day.